was the Northern League when your son was here.
Correct.
Pitch inside for a ball. How is Pete Jr. doing, by the way?
He's just developing. Pete Rose III. He's really a good athlete. He's 10 years old, and he's the best football player on his team. He gets the most hits, and he scores the most points in basketball.
Ooh, there you go.
That's a ball up and away.
There you go. Now, because he was a skipper with Kannapolis, right?
You know, believe it or not, his boss was Buddy Bell. And Buddy called him in last year at the end of July and gave him a raise for this year. Then called him in the end of August and fired him.
Oh, jeez. So he's not.
It don't make any sense because you know my son.
Oh,
the players that play for him love to play for him. But the problem was that evidently in the minor leagues now they don't teach winning. It's all about development.
Right.
And that drove Petey crazy. I mean, they text him before every game and tell him who to pitch, how many innings to pitch. He couldn't develop a closer. He couldn't put a guy on in the 8th inning to set up a double play to win the game. Ball 4, we got a man on.
Roberts walks.
We got 1 out. Bottom of the 6th inning. The good guys are ahead 8-2.
Well, because I've told people many times, Petey was one of my favorite players who ever played here. And because no one worked harder than him. I've told the story many times. I mean, you saw him play here a bunch. They'd take BP before the game. He'd play the game. He would drag the batting cage back out, and Pete would take post-game BP until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock midnight.
Well, where else is he going? You know, he's not a gambler, so he's not going to the casino.
Well, but I mean, he said
it. Went to the casino. He's going to the batting cage. I mean, that's the way he was taught.
But I mean, that's just a great example for everybody else on that team.
Put everything into it. Absolutely right.
Swing and a miss.
1-1
for Alfredo Rodriguez.
2 going here. This kid's a pretty good ball player.
Yes, he is. He's really good defensively too.
How about the first play of the game? Was the guy safe by 2 steps? And I went out there and talked to the umpire. He said, "Did I get it right?" I said, "Well, you're only off a step and a half." He started laughing. I said, "You had a perfect game for a half a hitter." I mean,
and in this league, a step and a half either way. And you know.
The guy went by the bag, went down and rolled halfway out in the right field. And he got up. He said, "You're out." I mean, you're going to kill yourself. You got to get an infield single, don't you?
Well, but thank goodness, because we're 2.5 hours in and we're still only in the bottom of the 6th inning. Wow. So if that was safe, we'd still be in.
Wow.
Pop out to first. Eberle is under it, and Rodriguez.
The home run in an elevator shaft.
Pops out to Garza. Well, because like I said,
it's fun to watch these guys. They're enthusiastic and they're keeping that dream alive. Maybe someday somebody will pick them up. You know, I did a couple teams. I was over with the Skeeters the other day.
Okay.
Down in Houston.
Okay.
And they've had 12 guys from their team brought up to the minor leagues this year, and the team they were playing, Bridgeport, had 9.
Wow.
21 players from those 2 teams were given opportunities in pro ball this year.
Wow.
You know as well as I that Atlantic League.
Oh my
60%
gosh!
60% of the players in that league have big league experience.
They've been. Oh yeah. Well, absolutely.
And you got guys here with big league experience, don't you? I'm sure you do.
Swing and a miss. Well, not anymore. I mean, this league is different than the Northern League. We have a bunch of guys that have been like in AA and stuff, but not too many guys have been in the majors that end up in this league. I mean, back in the day, Rick Wilkins was our catcher, and obviously your son was here. We had a bunch of guys who used to be in the Cubs or whatever. But this league's a little bit more for the younger player.
Well, back
now.
then the Cubs were like a AAA. He's got that stolen right there.
Yeah, swing and a miss, but it's strike 3 to retire the side. We'll just keep you here for just a little bit longer. One of the many amazing things about your career was the positions that you played. I mean, I think of you as a left fielder for the Cincinnati Reds. I don't know what you think of yourself as. Do you think of yourself as a third baseman, right fielder?
Well, obviously I got most of my hits in the outfield.
Right.
Because I went out there in, when did I go out there? In 66 or 67. And I didn't come back in until 1975 when they asked me to play third base. Then I played third base 75, 6, 7, and 8. Then when I went to Philadelphia, I went to first base. Then when I went back home as a player manager, I went to first base. But I got most of my hits in the outfield. I won my batting titles in the outfield.
Right.
But they all were fun to play. But you know, when I played, there was no DH. You had to play defense to get your at bats, and I was lucky enough to make the All-Star team in 5 different positions, but the most fun I had was playing first base. That's the most involved position other than catching, I think there is on the baseball diamond. You have the bunt coverage, you have the pickoff throws, you're the cutoff man from center and right field, you get the rundowns, and there's a lot more singles hit than doubles or triples. So you're always talking to players.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fun, too.
I mean, I was a first baseman. I loved it. So I know just exactly what you're talking about.
When I played at Riverfront Stadium, it was only 10 feet to the dugout when the inning was over. And that was a good thing, too.
That's
Plus,
not a
when I
bad
played
thing.
those other positions, I couldn't spike the ball when the inning was over.
I know.
At first base, you can spike that ball and make the other people mad.
Did that just happen the first time you did that? Or is it,
I did it because I was playing first base. And whenever I played, I tried to get the people mad at me that I was playing. Because if they get mad at you, they try to get you out harder.
Oh, yeah.
And when they try harder, they don't have as good as stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I had a method for my madness. I was always thinking on the baseball field. But at that time, that's when the football players started spiking the football.
Oh, okay.
I said, what the heck? If they can spike a football, I can spike a baseball.
Well, there you go.
I used to have it where I could do it, and it would hit and go right into the mound, where the umpires wouldn't get mad at me. I didn't spike it where it went to right field.
Right. Well, because, you started out at Crosley.
I did.
And then it goes to all those AstroTurf fields. I don't know, Riverfront, and it wasn't the same to me, but,
Well, people ask me, what was your favorite stadium to play in? And I'll be honest with you, I'd tell them AstroTurf. I loved AstroTurf.
Really? Okay.
I loved it. I loved it for the biggest reason alone, and that was economically. Because there's a first pitch, a strike. When we moved into Riverfront Stadium in 1970, we had 9 years. So the least amount of doubleheaders you have in September, better off you are. And we had none because of the AstroTurf. Strike, that ball hit the corner, didn't it?
It looked like it to me. Fraga at the plate, 8-2 Slammers in the 7th. Well, as a fan, it was different because I loved going to Wrigley for those Sunday doubleheaders.
Yeah.
You might not have enjoyed them as much as I did.
That's a base hit.
Fraga with a single up the middle.
I like doubleheaders. Because you get 8 at-bats in a day. I wish we could have played triple headers. I'm there to play ball, and the more at-bats you get, the more hits you're going to get.
Now, did you ever play Comiskey?
No, never been there. I didn't make the All-Star team the year it was there, and I made 17 of them.
I was just going to say, I think it finally got there like the year that your streak ended.
Didn't a pitcher hit a grand slam in that? Some pitcher hit a grand slam in that All-Star game? First time ever?
I know Freddie Lynn had a big day. I think he was the MVP that year, but... did you ever lose an All-Star game? Because because there was NL won like every year when you played.
We lost 1 out of 17, and that was 1971 in Detroit when Reggie hit that ball off of Doc Ellis. Oh. That ball would have went out of Yellowstone.
The one off the transformer, yeah.
That's the hardest hit ball I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Reggie's funny. I did an appearance with Reggie Jackson the other day, and he said, something, me and Bench always get on his butt when we're at a card show. We just laid Reggie out, but he's a great guy. And he said, I'll tell you guys one thing. When I stepped in the batter's box, there was a man in scoring position. And he said 563 times I gave the people what they wanted, a souvenir. Hit and run.
There you go.
Going there. Down 8-2, they're hitting and running.
Yeah, why not? And Tony Perez was one of my favorite ball players watching growing up because he was Mr. RBI, but his RBIs were always you.
Well, you figure he got close to 7. We're doing a thing for Tony Friday. We have a party for Tony on Friday because Saturday they're dedicating his statue. Now, I was telling the people at the VIP thing tonight, how lucky was I to lead off and the next 3 guys up all have statues at the ballpark. That's in a pretty good position, isn't it?
That's not a bad lineup.
Do you think anybody else has ever had that situation?
I don't think so. Rose, Morgan, Bench, Perez is not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Tony Perez knocked in like 660 RBIs hitting after Johnny Bench. And Johnny Bench
didn't leave too many guys on.
No, he didn't. He didn't leave too many ducks on the pine. I was telling somebody on the way up, if that's a flare ski, we got him. Shortstop, pop fly. When Bench was on first, Perez had to hit a triple to score him. He went fast asleep.
No, he was not.
Crickets.
No, he was not. Well, and
we had a good team. Yeah. We had a fun team.
Well,
I'll never get on a radio station or a TV station or talk to a newspaper writer and say that we had the greatest team ever. But I'll tell you one thing that I seriously believe we had the most entertaining team ever. We had white Hall of Famers, black Hall of Famers, Latino Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame manager. We had everything that the fan needed to be entertained.
Got him picked off. Throw to second,
Safe.
And they're going to call Fraga out.
Where's the replay?
I know.
No replay.
Sorry, not going to bail him out today, but another bang play that goes for the home team.
Picked off, losing 8-2 in the 7th with 1 out.
I know it doesn't make your manager very happy. No. I can tell you that. How much did you enjoy managing compared to playing?
I enjoyed managing immensely, but I would think, I never got to experience it, but I would think winning the World Series as a manager would be more important than as a player. Because as a manager, you're responsible for the whole organization. All 25 players, all 5 coaches, trainers, clubhouse guys. I never got to experience that, but I would think it would be more exciting to win as a manager as opposed to a player. And I was lucky enough to win 3 as a player and lose 3 as a player.
Do you think there'll ever be a player-manager again?
No. It's too difficult because there's 3 things you have to do if you're a player-manager. You have to keep your skills honed. You have to take care of the press, and you have to take care of the players. You can't neglect the players. You can't neglect the press. You're going to run out of time to practice. I can't ask the coaches. That's gone. Foul ball. Chicken dance. That's a chicken dance.
Foul in the corner.
Yeah, but you can't ask the coaches to come out at 1 o'clock to throw you batting practice. I just run out of time. Because you know what happens today if you neglect the press. You're in deep
Oh, yeah. Did you ask Lou Boudreau any advice? I mean, who else was there to ask?
Well, Kessinger was a player manager.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Frank Robinson was a player manager. I was the last one.
Right. There haven't been too many.
But there again, I had no managerial experience when I went back to Cincinnati as a manager. But what helped me out is always being around Sparky when the game was going on when I wasn't in the batter's box. Always picking Sparky's brain. And, of course, I had the same mentor as Sparky did. His name was George. That's a base hit. His name was George Scherger. And he was in the dugout just helping me out when I was player manager. And the one thing I had to be careful with was playing first base. Anytime I went into the mound, it was a trip to the mound. And sometimes you forget that.
I was going to say that. That hadn't even occurred to me.
Go in there and all of a sudden start there again. There's nobody warming up.
Wow, yeah. That's amazing.
This guy's a sidearmer, isn't he?
Yes, indeed. That's McNorton on the mound in relief. He's been brilliant all year. He's an all-star.
Road games on radio, too?
Not this year. It's the first year that we haven't. I've been here since, like I say, since 2000. It's the first year we haven't gone on the road. But the 9-hour bus rides in this trip, in this league, I don't miss.
Well, I had those when I was in Macon, Georgia, and we used to go to Portsmouth, Virginia, or Portsmouth Tidewater, and we went to Knoxville. And I remember one time we were playing in Knoxville, and I played for Macon. And we were from Cincinnati, and my mom drove my Corvette down for me to take back to Macon for the summer. And me and my roommate, Tommy Helms, who was Rookie of the Year in '66, were going through Calhoun, Georgia. And we got pulled over. And the guy took us down to the police station. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. And he said, "How much money you guys got?" And we had just filled a gas tank up, and we had $5.75 because we were making $500 a month.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, "Well, that's your fine. Now get the hell out of here." He fined us $5.75 for speeding in Calhoun, Georgia.
That's a fair deal.
That's all we had.
I was going to say.
Luckily, we just filled the tank up because we didn't have credit cards.
He wasn't going to get any more out of it.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that's too funny. Bob Gibson. Tell me facing Bob Gibson.
I hit 307 off Bob
That's
Gibson.
astonishing to me.
Bob Gibson was the most competitive pitcher I ever faced. And, he never talked to any of the opposition when he played. Now when you see him, which I do at card shows periodically, he won't stop talking. He's unbelievable. He's the nicest guy. He was a Harlem Globetrotter. You know that.
Oh, yeah. He was an amazing athlete. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
No.
Steve Carlton's the same way. He never talked when he pitched, when he played for the Phillies, but now he never shuts up. It's amazing. Gibson was, he threw hard and he pitched inside, but he didn't knock people. He didn't purposely throw at people. You understand pitching inside and hitting people.
Right.
If you want to be a good pitcher, I told the guys before the game, I said, my advice to pitchers is pitch inside but don't hit them. Because you knock them off the plate 6-8 inches, that gives you more 6-8 inches of the plate. And that's the way you have to look at that.
Was it different with Koufax?
Oh, Koufax. I mean, I was a kid when I faced Koufax. I hit 175 off Koufax.
so did everybody else, by the way.
I couldn't hit him with this radio booth here. I mean, he was nasty. He had a curveball. I mean, it just went just straight down like that. I mean, and he had a good fastball. And, you know, he was a great pitcher. I think he won 157 games because of arm problems. But he was certainly, my first 3 years in the league, he struck out over 1,000. Over 1,000 in 3 years. In 1965, he got 382 strikeouts in 1 year. The guy that will lead the league this year would be 230.
I was just going to say.
382. How do you strike out 382 guys back? And the guys he was facing was Mays and Aaron and Clemente. Guys like that, not your run-of-the-mill players.
Well, because I heard Sano tell a story about because they had a perfect game against him. He said we didn't have a prayer. You could have had 15 more innings. He goes, we weren't going to get a hit. Bouncer to second for the Pete. I could talk to you like all day. Thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for coming to the ballpark.
I appreciate it.
So good to see you again.
Good work.
Thanks, Pete Rose, ladies and gentlemen.
You got a doubleheader tomorrow.
Yep, exactly. We're saving it up for tomorrow. 2 games tomorrow, and there he is, the legendary Pete Rose. And we're so glad that he had a chance to come in and talk for a little bit. And again, he's here to do other stuff. I'm glad he came in for just a little bit. I could have talked to him forever, Pete Rose. So again, I hope you understand we didn't talk much about the game, but hopefully you could see it on your screens. But again, how often do we get a chance to talk to Pete? So bottom of 7, 8-2, your Joliet Slammers.